What's going on, everybody? It's Jack. Welcome to today's video, and today I'm going to take you through some of my favorite meal prep recipes. First recipe we're going to start with is a honey sesame chicken, also with some fried rice, but I will show you how you can modify the fried rice to fit any kind of low carb, low calorie, high calorie diet. But first thing we're going to do is go ahead and make the chicken. So we have 500 grams of chicken right here. Also at the end, I'll go over how you can portion this out, maybe add a little more chicken to make it a little more high protein, or how you can change the amount of chicken depending on the number of meals you want to make. But first things first, in this recipe, we have 500 grams of diced chicken breast right here. We're gonna go ahead and add some paprika, some garlic powder, some onion powder, and some cornstarch. Also, if you don't have cornstarch or you're allergic to it, you can use this arrowroot powder right here. This actually might be even harder to find. This is by Bob's Red Mill. But if you're allergic to cornstarch, don't have access to it, arrowroot powder is pretty much a 1-to-1 substitution. So if you need that, you can throw that in there as well. But for our chicken, we're gonna go ahead and add a bunch of paprika, onion powder, and garlic powder. I would say about 2 teaspoons per seasoning, but really just season as much as you want. I'm not the biggest fan of onion, so I go a little bit lighter on the onion powder, but that's completely up to you. But we are gonna measure out the cornstarch because it has a little bit more calories than some of our seasonings. It has 30 calories per 8 grams, and we want 25 grams, so that comes out to be, quick math, like 90 to 100 calories, so we definitely wanna measure this out. But I don't really measure out the other seasonings because they're low calorie and we don't use nearly as much. As I mentioned, we're gonna add 25 grams of cornstarch. This is really gonna help the chicken get nice and crispy, as you'll see when we cook it up on the pan. So that's 12 grams. So similar to flour, helping the chicken actually kind of have that crust, cornstarch is just a lower calorie way to do that. We're gonna go ahead and mix this up. I will probably end up using my hands, just make sure all the chicken gets coated. Yeah, we're gonna ditch the spoon. We're just gonna dig in with our hands, make sure there's a nice coating over all the chicken. Then we'll put together our sauce. Now our chicken is nice and coated. We'll go ahead and set that to the side. We'll go ahead and put together our sauce. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. Next, we'll go ahead and put together our honey sesame sauce that'll be going in with the chicken once it's cooked. Yes, we need honey. We're using 2 servings or 42 grams. Then we also need 20 milliliters of our rice wine vinegar, 20 milliliters of our soy sauce, a light soy sauce if you have it. We're gonna use 10 grams of our minced garlic right here. You can use whole garlic, but I find minced garlic is a little bit easier and cheaper. And then we're also gonna use 30 grams of our sugar-free ketchup. You could also use sriracha if you want. We're gonna go ahead and mix that up in this bowl just so we have it ready for when the chicken's done cooking, we can throw it right in the pan. Now we have our sauce. We'll go ahead and give that a good mix, and then head over to the stove and start cooking our chicken. Now we have a pan, a rather large pan, over nice medium heat. We let it get nice and warm and hit with some nonstick. I use about a tablespoon. This is spray, but I will account for the calories and estimate it to be about a tablespoon of oil. Now we have our chicken in there. Just like that, that is that cornstarch covered chicken. We're gonna let that get nice and crispy, flip it. I would say probably about maybe 3 to 4 minutes aside, and then also do a little bit of shaking. These are small pieces. They're diced chicken breasts rather than full chicken breasts, so it should cook a little bit faster. But I think 3 to 4 minutes aside, make sure you get a nice crisp around the whole thing, and then we'll go ahead and add our sauce once the chicken's fully cooked. Now we've got our chicken nice golden brown. As you can see, it's looking very, very good. Looks absolutely delicious. So we'll go ahead, turn the heat down to a medium low. We'll go ahead and add our mixture. So this is our light soy sauce, rice wine vinegar, ketchup, honey, all that good stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and add that in real quick and just pour that right in the middle. Now we wanna spread that around, make sure the chicken gets fully coated. So I like to do a little toss. Once again, I'm not professional. This is just amateur hour, but it's like a push away, pull up. When we get that nice and covered, we do want to let that cook off just a little bit. The rice wine vinegar is a little strong, so we'll go ahead and let that cook off. Also, one thing we're gonna do, we're gonna add a little bit more cornstarch to thicken it up. So this, I'll pretty much eyeball because I know about how much, but if you want to measure it out, it's about 10 grams. So I'm just gonna do a little pat of cornstarch into the bowl we were just using. Boom. So that is about 10 grams right there. It comes out to be about a tablespoon, pretty much is about 10 grams. We're gonna add a little bit of water so we get the rest of that sauce out of there and then dump this in to thicken up the sauce a little bit. There we go, so we add a little bit of water, made it kind of like just a very like opaque water white consistency. So we're gonna add this. The cornstarch will help just thicken up the sauce a little bit once again and get the rest of the sauce out of there. Once again, give it a few mixes. Let that cook for maybe just like 1 to 2 minutes. Make sure you're mixing it the whole time. And then once that's done, the chicken's done as well. And just like that, we have our honey sesame chicken right there, looking absolutely delicious. Now that this is done, I'll go ahead and take you guys through pretty much how you can make the rest of your meal. It's gonna be fried rice, or you can just use plain white rice, but I'm gonna show you guys exactly what I'm gonna do for my meals, and then how you can break it up yourself and make them either higher or low calorie than I'm making. But yeah, we need some frozen vegetables, we need some cooked white rice, which I already have in the fridge, and then also maybe an egg or some egg whites. I personally want each one of my meals that I'm prepping to come out to be about 500 calories because that's what fits my personal macros right now. If you want higher or lower calories, it pretty much comes down to the amount of rice you want to add. I'm gonna go ahead and cook up our vegetables right now. These are just peas and carrots from Kroger. You could microwave them. I'm gonna cook them on the skillet though, and also add some eggs. I'm gonna add 1 whole egg per meal. So since I wanna break this into 4 meals, I'm gonna go ahead and add 4 eggs to this mix, and then we'll add the rice on top of that. It really depends how much rice you want. I'm gonna be adding 1 cup per meal, so 4 cups of cooked rice total into this pan. But if you wanna do half a cup of rice per meal, or even a cup and a half per meal to make it even higher calorie, you can go ahead and do that. But first thing we're gonna do, get our pan over a medium-low heat, right there. Get that cooking. We just need to warm these up and then add our eggs in as well. But as I said, go ahead and play around with the macros to whatever you want. But I'm gonna go ahead and make a 500 calorie meal, which I feel like is a staple for a lot of people out there. So this, what I'm showing you, is gonna come out to right around 500 calories. But like I said, you can adjust it for your needs. Now we got our vegetables cooking away. We'll go ahead and crack in our 4 eggs. I always like to make a little bit room in the pan so we're not cracking them directly onto the vegetables. So go ahead, scoop the vegetables onto 1 half, we'll crack the eggs in the other. Then we'll go ahead and mix that around, make sure the eggs get fully cooked. Then everything's cooked and we just need to assemble our meals. Also, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper on top of the eggs. Now we have all our ingredients and now we just need to assemble our meals. One thing you could do, if you knew exactly how much rice you want to use, you could go ahead and add your rice into the egg and vegetable mix and make it a fried rice. But since I like to change up the amount of rice I have depending on the meal, I like to go ahead and put it in like these 3 separate piles. So we have our chicken, and we can alternate, make a little bit higher protein. We have our vegetables and eggs, which are pretty much a staple. I always keep those about the same. And then our rice is where we can fluctuate the carbs and overall calories a lot. So what I like to do is go ahead. Each one of these has 1 cup of cooked rice in there. As I mentioned, I already have some rice cooked that we just used. We had measured that out. I'm gonna go ahead and portion out our vegetables. Once again, just about an eyeball, 1/4 into each cup. And then it's at this point where I go ahead and kind of make it a fried rice, if you wanna call it that. So go ahead, add a little bit of soy sauce. This is some light soy sauce. Just go with preference. I do like 3 or 4 dashes. And then also a little bit of sesame oil. Now this is very, very high in calories. It's almost as high as olive oil. So we're gonna go ahead and be very, very generous with this. I'm actually gonna measure this out and just add a teaspoon per bowl. So we've got our measuring device, 1 teaspoon per meal. And I promise this will all make sense in a second. We'll go ahead and also evenly distribute out our chicken. And from here is where I kind of added this extra little step to make it like fried rice, nice and mixed up. So go ahead and throw a lid on there and honestly, just shake it. It looks a little messy, I will say, but that is our chicken fried rice right there. Yes, it doesn't look the most appealing once it's shaken in the container, but I promise you it tastes just as good. And we'll go ahead and just repeat the process. I will say let this cool at room temperature with the lid off before you store it in the fridge, just to keep it a little bit fresher. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, repeat the process, and let these cool off. One of these is also gonna be my dinner, but we're gonna go ahead and move that into a nice fancy bowl so it looks a little bit better for pictures. Now I'll go ahead and read you guys the calories and macros. And now what you guys have all been waiting for, the macros for this meal. So for the 4 meals, each one being very similar in calories, obviously we eyeballed some stuff, it comes out to be about the same. It comes out to be 516 calories, 61 grams of carbs, 9 grams of fat, and then 56 grams of protein. I will say the majority of the fat is actually coming from the sesame oil. So if you want to pull that out, it could bring down the calories just a touch. About 516 calories for a big bowl of rice and chicken that's delicious. Oh, we have some chicken right here. Do a quick taste test. That's so good. The chicken has that nice char to it, a little bit of that sesame oil, the honey. Absolutely delicious. A healthy, tasty, high protein meal that you can go ahead and meal prep for the week. I have 3 meals over there that I'm gonna be eating the rest of the week, but I'm gonna dig into this. This is my dinner, but we're gonna have to do a quick taste test with Maisie. We're gonna give her a little carrot. Okay, this is probably really hard for you guys to see, but I do have a little carrot in my hand. We'll see what her jumping skills are like. Ready? Oh, she missed it. One more. All right, come here. Right over here. You sit. Got a carrot right here. Ready? Catch it. Nice, good job. Awesome. All right, we'll go ahead and see you guys at the next meal prep recipe. For the second recipe of the video, we're making some ground turkey meatballs. These meatballs can really be used in any recipe if you want to make like meatball hoagies. In this case, we're gonna do pasta and meatballs. So we have some angel hair pasta right here, as well as some of our red sauce. Then we have 1 pound of ground turkey, 1 egg. We have some of these breadcrumbs. These are just Progresso basic breadcrumbs that we're using. We need 56 grams or 2 servings or half a cup as well. We need some minced garlic, and then we need onion powder, salt, and pepper to taste. Also, one thing, I'm making 2 meals out of this. You could go ahead and double the ingredients and make 4 meals, or triple the ingredients and make 6. Also, a big thing, you can modify how many calories and carbs are in this meal by how much pasta you use. I'm gonna be using 2 servings of pasta per meal, which comes out to be 400 calories just from pasta. So if you wanted to lower the calories and the carbs in the entire meal, just use 1 serving of pasta, which is 200 calories, and you can bring the calories down. But I'll go ahead, go over all the calories at the very end once we're done cooking. But first thing we need to do is combine all of these ingredients into a mixing bowl to go ahead and form our basically our meatballs, but not in meatball form. So we need to mix all these ingredients, then we'll head over to the stove. You could also air fry these, you could also bake these. I'm personally gonna do them on the stove top because it's pretty simple. And then we need to cook some pasta, so we need to have some water. Just follow the instructions. For angel hair, it's a little bit less time, so it is, 4 quarts of water, 4 to 6 quarts of water. Bring it to a boil and then cook them for about 6 minutes. And then the pasta sauce will just go on top at the very end. If you wanna heat that up, you can. I'll probably throw mine in the microwave for a little bit. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and make our meatballs. And as much as I wish you could say you don't need to get your hands dirty, you pretty much do need to get your hands dirty with this. So as much as the spoon is nice, you definitely want to get your hands dirty and mix it up using your hands to make it a lot easier. So don't be scared. Yes, it's gonna be cold, yes, it's gonna feel weird, but just go ahead and mix that all together, fold those breadcrumbs in there. And yeah, just pretty much continue to fold it and mix it until it's well combined. Now we've got all the ingredients well combined, we'll head over to the stove and make them into balls. Now we have pretty much the biggest pan I could find over medium-low heat. We're gonna cook these meatballs low and slow, or else the outside will get too charred and crispy. But we do have some pasta water over here as well that we're gonna bring to a boil and then put our pasta in there. But in the meantime, we're gonna head, this is nice and warm, hit it with some nonstick. And then we will go ahead and bring our spoon back just to help with our meatball forming. Also, pro tip, go ahead and just wet your fingers just a little bit so the meat doesn't stick to your fingers as much. But yeah, we're pretty much gonna form balls, put them into the pan. I would say aim for an even amount of meatballs because we are gonna be dividing this into 2 different meals. Worst case, you have an odd number, not a big deal. You can cut 1 meatball in half and split it. But I personally like to aim for even meatballs if I can. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just start forming our meatballs. Now we have all of our meatballs in the pan. Also, one thing you notice is actually as I was forming them, I was kind of flipping some of the earlier ones just so they don't get too burnt on one side, because I like to keep it nice golden brown. I don't want anything like black on any side. So just kind of watch those, turn them around, flip them over pretty frequently. Yes, I am using my fingers, so be very, very careful if you do, just because of hot oil and stuff, but I find it sometimes easier to flip them using this than, like a spatula or a spoon or something. So I just watch them a little bit here and there, make sure that we're constantly flipping them. Make sure that they get cooked all the way through. I think it probably takes, honestly, probably 8 to 12 minutes, depending on the size of your meatballs, to make sure that they can cook all the way through. So go ahead and, yeah, pretty frequently flip them. Make sure no one side gets totally burnt. But yeah, we're just gonna kind of sit here, turn these, and once our pasta water starts to boil, add our pasta in there. The meatballs are taking a little bit longer than expected, so we have a nice char in all of them. Not too dark, but I don't want it to really cook on the surface anymore. I just want to go ahead and cook the rest of the meat in the middle. So what I did, we're gonna turn off the stove. I went ahead and started preheating the oven, so that's gonna be at 400 degrees. If you were to bake them the entire time, it would probably be 400 degrees for like probably 17 to 20 minutes, but now I'm gonna go ahead, let this come down a little bit from the heat, go ahead, put them in the oven. I'd probably say 5 minutes or so. Just go ahead and make sure that the internal temperature gets to 165, cooks to the middle, but we definitely have a good surface char. I'll go ahead and show you guys what we're looking like. So we got that golden brown, as you can see, little dark here and there, but that's exactly where they're going in the oven. But I think very good so far, no actual burning or charring, but yeah, definitely wanna go ahead, finish these off. We're gonna go ahead, slide them in the oven for probably about, yeah, once again, 5 to 6 minutes in the oven. Go ahead and let the internal temperature rise, and then these will be done. Six minutes later, whoops, we'll go ahead and pull our meatballs. I'm just gonna break one in half to make sure it's done. Okay, cool. So I just broke open the bigger meatball right there. Boom, you can see it. It's cooked all the way through. So that means when I make an educated guess, if the biggest one's cooked all the way through, the rest are as well. So we'll go ahead and shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now I have 15. Okay, once again, like I said, not the biggest deal if they're uneven. We have 15 now since I cut that one in half, but if we keep that together, we have 14, so 7 per meal. Our pasta also finished up while our meatballs were in the oven, and we went ahead and heated up some red sauce. So I just put it in a microwave-safe container and warmed that up for 45 seconds. Now we can go ahead and plate. So as I mentioned, we have 14 meatballs, so each meal gets 7. Also, this is 1 cup of red sauce or pasta sauce, so each meal is gonna get half a cup. Now we have our 2 meals. I'm gonna go ahead and sit down and we'll go over the macros of this one. And after doing some calculations, I have the macros. I'm gonna go over quite a few different macros, so if you care about this stuff, just pay attention. So for just the meatballs, the entire ingredients, the pound of ground turkey, the breadcrumbs, the minced garlic, all that kind of stuff, the meatballs is 865 calories, 73 grams of carbs, 74 grams of fat, and 98 grams of protein. So if you divide that by 2, that is the amount of meatballs per meal, which comes out to be 432 calories, 18.5 grams of carbs, 17 grams of fat, and 49 grams of protein. So that's just the meatballs. And also, I made 14 meatballs. These are pretty decent sized meatballs. Like, I'll pick one up right here. I mean, I would say at least an inch in diameter, if not a little bit bigger than an inch in diameter. And at 14 meatballs, each meatball comes out to be 61 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs, 2.4 grams of fat, and 6.9 grams of protein. So if you did want to bring down the calories, you didn't want as much protein per meal. Instead of using 7 meatballs per meal, you could only use 3 or 4. And if you use 4, and what's 7 times 4? That's still 28 grams of protein just from meatballs if you use 4 instead of 7. And then we'll go ahead and add our 2 servings of pasta and our red sauce, which comes out to be this entire meal, 902 calories, 114 grams of carbs, 20 grams of fat, and 65 grams of protein. Once again, that is for 7 meatballs and 2 servings of pasta. So if you go ahead and reduce 3 meatballs, pull 3 meatballs out, so you have 4 meatballs, 1 serving of pasta, that's gonna bring your total down, let's see, 61 times 3, 180 plus 2. So that's gonna 380 minus 900 minus 380, which comes out to be 5. Yeah, so it brings it down to like 520 calories rather than 900. So there are ways you can kind of manipulate this meal to fit pretty much any macros or any amount of protein, carbs, and fats that you want. I'm honestly pretty hungry. The kitchen smells delicious. If you ask me, we got our meatballs right here. We're gonna use a little bit of spaghetti. Of course, the twist method, if it works, kind of. Boom, meatball right there. I will say I'm a sucker for some Italian food, so this is really, really good. Also, you guys can see at the corner of my eye, Maisie. We're gonna give her a little piece and see if she can catch this. All right, we're gonna go for an extra long catch today. Can you guys see that? Looks kind of blurry. All right, we're gonna for extra long catch. Okay, come here. Up, sit, stay. Let's make sure she's still in frame. So this might be our longest catch ever on YouTube. Let's see, this is a meatball. You got it? Ready? Nice, good one, good girl. But we'll go ahead and end the video there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.